Everyone knows Hong Kong, a city of skyscrapers, a global financial center, a symbol of opportunity. But just across the river was another story. A story almost nobody remembers, a place called Shenzhen. Today, Shenzhen is known for technology innovation and some of the world's most ambitious companies. But 50 years ago, the story was completely different. People were not rushing into Shenzhen, they were trying to escape. The same border that today connects two powerful cities was once a line dividing two completely different futures. On one side, Hong Kong, a city rising through trade and industry. On the other, Bao'an County, a rural border region with limited jobs and limited opportunities. For many people living there, the dream was not to build Shenzhen. The dream was simply to live. So how did the place people wanted to escape become the place where millions would later come searching for opportunities? Before Shenzhen became a city, it was Bao'an County. In the 1960s and 70s, this area was mostly villages, farmland and fishing communities. People lived close to the land. They planted crops, they went fishing, they worked hard. But hard work do not always create a better future. There were few factories, few stable jobs. For many families, survival was the only goal. Across the border, Hong Kong was experiencing the opposite transformation. Factories expanded, trade grew, millions of workers found employment. The difference between the two sides became impossible to ignore. For people in Bao'an, Hong Kong was not just a wealthy city. It represented a question. What if life could be different? But the relationship between the two places was more complicated than it appeared. Hong Kong had wealth, but it also had weaknesses. The city had limited land for farming, limited natural resources, limited fresh water. In 1963, Hong Kong experienced one of its worst droughts. Millions faced serious water shortages. In 1963, Hong Kong experienced one of its worst droughts. Millions faced serious water shortages. A modern city suddenly faced a basic problem. How do you survive when you cannot provide enough for yourself? The answer came from across the border. In 1965, the Dongshan Water Supply Project began delivering water from Guangdong to Hong Kong. Food supplies also crossed through Shenzhen. For decades, this border region helped support Hong Kong's daily life. Water flowed south, food crossed south, but there was an unexpected contradiction. While resources were moving toward Hong Kong, people were moving away from Shenzhen. The people crossing the river were often described by a single word, escapists. But behind that word were thousands of individual stories. There were farmers, young workers, parents, sons and daughters. Most were not chasing health. They wanted simple things: a steady job, a better income, a future for their children. Some crossed the river, some climbed the fences, some walked through dangerous terrain. Many succeeded, many failed, some never returned home. But even greater than the physical risk was the region that took it. They believed the future existed somewhere else. For years, the response was simple: stop them. More fences, more patrols, more restrictions. But the number of people trying to live continued. Because the real problem was not border, the real problem was the life behind it. A fence can break low, it cannot move desperation. Eventually, some local officials began seeing the problem differently. They saw abandoned farmland, they saw families separated. They reached a painful conclusion. People were not living because they hated their hometown. They were living because their hometown could not give them a future. This message eventually reached China's leadership. In 1977, Deng Xiaoping visited Bao'an. After seeing the situation himself, he recognized something important. The problem could not be solved by controlling movement. It had to be solved by creating opportunity. The question changed. Not how do you stop people from living, but how do you give people a reason to stay? When China began searching for places to test economic reform, many believed Shanghai was the obvious choice. Shanghai had factories, manufacture, a long commercial history. It seemed safer, but Guangdong officials argued for somewhere else. A place with fewer advantages, a place with less to lose, a place next to Hong Kong. That place was Shenzhen. Their logic was simple. If the experiment succeeded, Shenzhen could become a bridge to the outside world. If it failed, the cost would be limited. In 1979, Bao'an County became Shenzhen City. A forgotten border region became the location of China's biggest economic experiment. But choosing Shenzhen was the only beginning. The hardest part was making the idea work. The roads were uncertain, the future was unclear, many people were afraid of making mistakes. Foreign investment was unfamiliar, private businesses were controversial. Market competition was a completely new concept. Shenzhen needed people willing to take risks. One of them was Wu Nanshan. He studied Hong Kong's business environment. He looked at how people operated, how markets created opportunities. Then he brought those ideas back. Shenzhen began experimenting. Foreign companies arrived, factories opened, workers found opportunities. The city was changing, but the biggest change happened inside people's minds. For years, many people believed the only way to improve their lives was to live. But now, something new was possible. They could say, they could work, they could build. The border that once represented escape began becoming a gateway. But Shenzhen's first success created a new problem. He had created jobs, he had attracted factories, but much of the work was still manufacturing, making products, assembling products, producing products designed somewhere else. The city faced a new question. Could it create? Could it innovate? Could it build technology instead of producing it? In 1990s, Shenzhen began changing again. This time, it looked beyond Hong Kong. It looked toward Silicon Valley. The goal was no longer only economic growth, it was technological creation. Research centers appeared, engineers arrived, entrepreneurs started companies, a new generation emerged. Huawei began as a small company in Shenzhen, fighting for survival in telecommunications industry. Tencent began as a small internet company, exploring how people could communicate in a digital world. They were not born as giants. They became giants through constant adaptation. The city that once learned how to make products learned how to create the future. The world measures cities by what they have: money, resources, power. But Shenzhen's story began with what it did not have. No long history, no powerful industries, no guarantee of success. What it had was a willingness to change. 15 years ago, people risked everything to leave this place. Today, millions arrive here searching for a new destiny. The greatest thing Shenzhen built was not factories, not technology, not skyscrapers. It built a belief in China. Your future does not have to inherit it. It can be created.